Greetings to all our audiences across the region and beyond. Welcome to SASSCAL podcast. I'm Sharon Kavu and I am your host. Today we're still going to continue talking about the WeMAST project. WeMAST is an abbreviation standing for Wetlands Monitoring and Assessment. Well, just to give you a bit of a background to those who are not following in our podcast, the WeMAST project is a project that is funded under the Global Monitoring for Environment and Security GMES and Africa Support Program. Of course, it is between the African Union and the European Union in the area of space science and technology. So the project WeMAST, which is under SASSCAL Consortium, has been doing a lot of capacity building to the students across the region, and it has been working with technical partners such as the University of Western Cape, among others, and these students were being capacitated in earth observation, wetlands monitoring and assessment across Southern African region. And among the universities where they have been benefiting from includes the University of Western Cape in South Africa, Midland State University in Zimbabwe, University of Zambia, of course in Zambia, and the University of Botswana. So today we are joined by one of the beneficiaries of the program who is here with us in the studio, PhD holder, Dr. Siya. Dr. Siya, welcome to our program and may you introduce yourself in full.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me in your wonderful podcast. My name actually is Siyamthanda and my surname is Gxokwe. I am currently a postdoctoral researcher within the Institute for Water Study and at the Department of Earth Sciences, University of the Western Cape. So I was funded by SASSCAL under the WeMAST project, working under the guidance of Professor Timothy Dube and Professor Dominic Majimafi.
So Dr. Siya, can you give us a narration of how has the funding from SASSCAL and GMES Africa helped you to enhance your research and your career?
The SASSCAL GMES Africa funding, I received it in 2018 when I started my PhD. So it had helped me quite a lot actually to do my research. So they paid for my field work for the trainings that I needed to attend so that I can be able to enhance my skills in data analysis and monitoring of the wetlands that we studied at transboundary basins. So by having all those, actually, I have gained quite a lot of skills that have allowed me to be able to gain insights or to have an in-depth understanding of the topic or the research, the umbrella of the research assessment that I have been working for. So I'm really quite grateful of the opportunity that they have given me, because now I was able to even learn skills from from the project, even the attending the conferences. So it helped me also to better enhance the skills in presentation and other things that I needed to do while I was still working on the project.
Wow, that is great and so progressive. You mentioned that you have been doing so many researches. Can you maybe just indicate the specific areas that you are researching on, and also you being a PhD holder now, in your opinion, what is the essence of research in wetlands assessment, science and management?
My research was on eco-hydrological dynamics of the wetlands within the semi-arid regions of Southern Africa, so which is my main focus. However, now for me, I had to apply advanced geospatial tools and remote sensing approaches and data to actually understand the changes in these eco-hydrological dynamics of the systems that we wanted to understand. The findings of the study in general are critical in informing wetland management policies, because for us to be able to formulate policies that would help us better manage the wetland systems, we need to be informed by the information on the changes within the wetlands and whether to decide that we need these policies, then we therefore need to understand if there are any changes within the wetlands being good or bad. Then from there we can be able to initiate strategies that allow us to be able to better manage or to conserve the declining status of these wetland systems. So my research basically allows us to be able to generate information that would allow us to be able to decide which are some of the key priority areas that we need to look into before we can actually decide on whether to manage these systems or not. If I can give you an example, with semi-arid areas, we've got small systems, and some of these systems are non-perennial systems, meaning that they become inundated for a certain part of the year. And even though that is the case, these wetlands basically what they are sort of like serve as an important component to the surrounding communities, because some of these communities, they rely on water from these wetlands and food, for example. Now having them not protected, that means that now they are being subjected to all the pressures that are there. And for us to be able to understand what sort of measures we need to put in place, then we need to also have an information about such changes or whatever that is going on within these systems. So the essence of my research within wetland management and within wetlands management and conservation is that now it underscored the relevance of the my research basically underscored the relevance of the geospatial tools and advanced remote sensing approaches in management of these small systems, which are some of them are not even easy to monitor using the field-based methods that we normally rely on, or that is the traditional monitoring approaches that we normally relied on. So having remote sensing approaches would allow us to be able to gain an insight on these changes, and then that would provide information that would be critical for us to be able to put measures in place or correct measures in place that would allow us to be able to manage these systems.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Sia. This is very profound and very interesting. Well, being part of such research, have you published any articles in line to this, and if you have published any articles, what exactly was it focusing on, and where were these articles published, and how many are they?
From the work we have, I have published five papers, which include one review paper and 4 research papers. The review paper, which is published in the Remote Sensing MTPI, actually focuses on the providing an overview of the remote sensing of wetlands within the semi-arid environment, with a specific focus on the use of geospatial tools. So where we're actually looking at what has been done and the future research directions with regards to the application of the geospatial tools in understanding the eco-hydrological dynamics of wetlands. The second paper, which is published in the Science of the Total Environment, the paper basically is a research paper that looked into leveraging Google Earth Engine platform coupled with the advanced data analytic tools and machine learning techniques, as well as remote sensing data, to characterize the wetlands within the semi-arid environment, to look in terms of understanding what are some of basically to look at the extent of the wetland, and to also look into the vegetation types that you'd find within the wetlands, and also look at the inundation patterns of the wetlands. So we actually focused on that, and we applied to Google Earth Engine, which is a cloud computing platform that had advanced processing machine learning algorithms that allows us to be able to map these wetlands at highest precision. And then the other paper that we published is a research paper also, which was basically looking at now evaluating the available geospatial or remote sensing data rather, that is useful for monitoring small and seasonal flooded systems. Basically, we were of the view that now with remote sensing, although it can offer the unprecedented opportunities to assess these systems, but however there are some certain limitations such as the cloud cover during parts of the year, which actually severely influences the way in which the wetlands are captured on those images. And as a result now, because we're working with small wetland systems, it was very much likely that we're going to make mistakes if we are going to be mapping the small systems using a severely impacted image by cloud cover. So what we needed to do now was for us to be able to look into how many available images within the cloud computing platforms that allow us to be able to track the changes in the wetland systems over time without having to misclassify the wetlands because of some artifacts that are present in the images. So basically, the paper was published in the Ecohydrology Journal, Wiley and Sons Ecohydrology Journal, and then we have another paper, research paper, which was published in the Journal of Hydrology. The paper actually looks at the eco-hydrological dynamics and their drivers over time. So we monitored now what are some of how have the eco-hydrological dynamics, like the extent of wetlands, like the vegetation cover and the moisture content within the wetland has been changing over time, and what are some of the drivers that have caused to the change over that time. And we looked at the period of 2002 to 2020, basically, which is over a 20-year period. And then we managed to actually looked into understanding, okay, that some of the climatic variables such as changes in rainfall patterns, such as changes in evapotranspiration, are the significant drivers to the eco-hydrological changes within the wetland eco-hydrology. And as a result, if you want to understand the systems, or you must not look them in isolation, however, you must integrate a component of climatic variables that allow you to be able to explain why certain changes are to be expected within the systems. And then the last paper that we published was on wetlands eco-hydrology. So actually it was on wetlands ecology and management. The paper basically focused on the upscaled mapping of the wetlands. So basically, because we're looking at within the Limpopo Transboundary Basin, we're focusing on smallest systems that you would find. We selected a few of them. Now, the approach that we have developed over those series of papers that we have published, we needed to upscale it so that we can see if it actually works at a transboundary scale level, because the project by the WeMAST project was working or was focusing on the transboundary scale level. As a result, now what we did was to upscale the model into a larger spatial extent, which is at a transboundary scale level, to see or to monitor the land cover changes within the wetland and their associated driver or the associated impact of land cover changes within the areas at the vicinities of these systems. And from that paper, we found out that there have been some changes, or there have been a declining status of wetlands between the period of 2000 and 2020. And as a result, most of the wetlands within those regions were basically replaced, or some of the extent of wetlands were replaced by built up areas, and some of these wetlands were basically converted to other land cover classes. So those are some of the papers that we have published. So those papers are actually available for one if one is actually interested to go and read more about the work. So they are basically available. Either one can go into my ResearchGate and then they'll be able to access some, and then some they might need to purchase them because some are published on prescription basis. So one would be able to actually pay for them, and then they will get the articles, and then they can read further if they have any interest. Thank you.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, it's a good thing that You also did a lot of coverage of these articles. I believe a lot of people will be benefiting from these articles, and they'll make use of this information. Also, currently, what are you currently doing in your career, and what are your future career prospects following this great achievement of being a PhD holder?
Currently, I'm working as a postdoc. I'm working as a postdoc under the professional development of the National Research Foundation here in South Africa. So I'm hosted at the University of the Western Cape in partnership with the South African National Biodiversity Institute.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for all this detailed for a well detailed conversation. I'm looking forward to read more articles that you've done or that you're gonna do in your future researches in regards to our environment. And thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us and to all our viewers. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen to our conversation here on our podcast. If you feel like you have any questions for clarity, feel free to just post on the comment section. Thank you so much for listening.